What's up, YouTube? Today, we're on Daniel, and this is Reginald read. So let's get into it. It says, in the third year of the reign of Joachim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Joachim, king of Judah, into his hand, with some of the vessels of the house of God. He brought them to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God, and placed the vessels in the treasury of his God. Then the king commanded Aspenaz, his chief eunuch, to bring some of the people of Israel, both of the royal family and the nobility, youths without blemish, of good appearance, with skillful in all wisdom, endowed with knowledge, understanding, learning, and competent to stand in the king's palace, and to teach them the literature and language of the Chaldeans. The king assigned them a daily portion of the food that the king ate and the wine that he drank. And they were to be educated for 3 years, and at the end of the time they were to stand before the king. Among these were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah of the tribe of Judah. And the chief of the eunuchs gave them names. David he called Belshazzar, Hananiah he called Shadrach, Mishael he called Meshach, and Azariah he called Abednego. It says, but Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food and with the wine that he drank. So let's get the backstory. So Daniel is taken with 3 other people from Judah, the tribe of Judah, into Babylon as captives, but they're to learn the traditions of the Chaldeans, but they don't want to go and defile themselves by eating this food that comes from king, because that's not clean food. Important context, okay? It says, but Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with king's food or with the wine that he drank. Therefore he asked the chief of the eunuchs to allow him not to defile himself. And God gave Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the chief of the eunuchs. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who assigned you your food and drink, for why should he see that you were in worse condition than the youths are of your own age? So would you endanger my head with the king? So this is from the chief eunuch. He's like, well, if you start getting sick and all this stuff, now that falls back on me. So how are you going to avoid that? Basically, that's his question. And then it says, then Daniel said to the steward, who the chief of the eunuchs had not assigned over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance and the appearance of the youths who eat the king's food be observed by you, and deal with your servant according to what you see. So he listened to them in this matter and tested them for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, it was seen that they were better in appearance and fatter in flesh than all the youths who were eating the king's food. So this is God showing that he is faithful. He gave them favor, where they're only eating vegetables and water while people are eating the king's food, and they're still getting healthier and growing more than these other people. And it just shows that when God is for you, nobody can be against you. It says, so the steward took away their food and the wine that they were to drink, and gave them vegetables. As for these 4 youths, God gave them learning and skill in all literature and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding of all visions and dreams. At the end of the time, when the king had commanded that they should be brought in, the chiefs of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar, and the king spoke with them. And among all of them, none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore they stood before the king. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding about which the king acquired of them, he found 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters that were all in his kingdom. And David was there until the first year of King Cyrus. So once this is important, why this chapter is important, because it's showing how God takes care of his people, that he put them in this place, even though they were getting captured by the Babylonians to learn the Chaldean practices. They never defiled themselves. God provided food for them. And then also he gave them wisdom, not just wisdom that they needed to learn with the Chaldeans, but wisdom to understand and be able to interpret stuff, to be able to differentiate what was actually being said. Like, that wisdom comes from God, not from the teachings that they were given. And then also just seeing that they gained favor to the point where they were being asked by the king to answer these requests. It shows that God will grant you favor if you acknowledge him in all your ways. They refused to turn away from God, and they stood on God. When God is your rock and your foundation, you can't fail. Verse I like to remember, if God is for you, who can be against you? Because it's real. It's like when you got God on your side, there's nothing to worry about. So keep trusting God today. I love you, but Jesus loves you more.